Right here in Painesville. My name is Edward Tamba, anchoring this edition. In the big stories, we're following President George Weah has submitted an ad seeking the validation of the national youth policy to the House of Representatives. Government of Liberia reiterated its commitment to protecting journalists and the Liberian media. Scores of Liberians have taken to the streets during the week demanding the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia. And the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency has burned a huge quantity of drugs valued over 98 million Liberian dollars. These developments are all packaged. But after this break, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. Now, several government officials over the weekend attended the arrival ceremony of President George Weah at the Rabos International Airport. The Liberian leader of the RRA early Monday morning and received a usual overwhelming welcome from his cabinet ministers. President Weah, along with his entourage, was greeted with traditional salute from members of the AFL, followed by Defense Minister and other key government officials. The Liberian leader returned to his motherland after witnessing the independence and inaugural ceremony of his Senegalese counterpart, Macky Sall. Now, upon his arrival, Information Minister Len Eugene Nangwe briefs the media on the president's trip to Senegal.
In a matter of days, the Minister of State will announce the exact date because they are Alpha Conde, where they concluded arrangements for they had an agreement that the iron ore mine in Guinea will be shipped through Liberia. So the modalities now will be worked out by the technicians. I think the IMCC is already, IMCC is the Inter-Ministerial Concession Committee. It is already seized of that. So that's the high point of the trip. Apart from President Macky Sall was also present, the President of the Gambia was present, and other ECOWAS leaders who are going to attend the inaugural ceremony use the opportunity to discuss issues of security in the sub-region. So the President remained in Dakar, attended that meeting, and then yesterday he continued discussion with members of the business community. There are some business people who are deploying their businesses in Dakar, Senegal. There's a laundry list of activities that he had, and we are happy now that we are back home to continue to work in the interest of the people of Liberia.
We are also held sideline meetings with his ECOWAS counterparts aimed at strengthening security ties with the sub-regional body, including other issues on the table as well.
In a matter of days, the Minister of State will announce the exact date because there are still some logistical preparations that are going on, and right after we conclude that, and with the security people, they will announce the schedule because they have been postponed in the past. So whether it's rainy season or dry season, we have to keep on working. The economy has suffered some shocks. We are very, very, very focused on addressing the fundamentals that have affected our economic performance. Always hard, which is because the real economy has not grown. We are not manufacturing, we are not exporting, we are importing more than we export. Our balance of trade deficit is wide. So these are the structural macroeconomic issues that the President and his cabinet, the economy for the people of Liberia. Finally, the President's prime focus right now. Finally, Minister.
Government of Liberia says journalists are an integral part in the enhancement of a functional democracy. under the Weah-led administration, as evidenced by the recent passage of the Kamara Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom to decriminalize free speech offenses. Well, it comes days after radio talk show host T-Max Gelated said there is a plot by some unnamed individuals to assassinate journalists in the country. But addressing the press conference at the Ministry of Information Thursday, Deputy Information Minister Eugene Fagon said the government remains committed to creating a free space for all, including journalists in Liberia.
The government of Liberia is very concerned over claims made by radio talk show host and journalist T-Max Gelated that there exists a plot by some unnamed individuals in the country to assassinate journalists. Although Mr. Gelated didn't make a formal complaint to the authorities, we consider such an allegation grave enough to warrant a speedy investigation by the government. Journalists are an integral prerequisite for a fully functioning democracy that the administration of President George M. Weah is consolidating. The government intends to work with the Press Union of Liberia and the journalism community on this alarming issue in order to get to the bottom of it. There's no place for such intimidation and violence in the new Liberia.
Meanwhile, Minister Fagon said government is committed to prosecuting Green Currency, an international organization hired by the Central Bank of Liberia to print money for the country.
Green Currency can sit where they sit now and say, no, we were not charged. But I'm sure when we get to court, Green Currency will have the representation. If not, the law will take its course and a verdict will be given. You and I know that when you are dragged to court, whether civil or criminal, failure to appear have consequences. We are a sovereign nation. We have laws. And we are part of an international community. So when we are done with our part here, we still have the opportunity to go elsewhere to seek redress. Why do you think people run to the ECOWAS court? Why do you think people run to the international court? So we will pursue justice for the Liberian people wherever justice is necessary.
Health Minister Dr. Wilhelmina Jala says in collaboration with partners, the construction of 3 hospitals in separate locations are expected to begin soon. According to Dr. Jala, the hospitals will be built in Nimba, Grand Bassa, and Bapolu counties. Minister Jala has been explaining more in an interview with the station.
The Italian government have made a commitment for the hospital in Bassa, so we are working closely with them to make sure that their commitment come true for the Liberian people. And also the Qatar government asked us what do we want, so we said that we wanted the hospital in Sanikode. And no offense against any of the politicians in those areas, but as we get commitments, we'll be asking you to see where do you want. So we do ask, we consult to see where they want a hospital. We'll be checking. Yeah, so we'll be following up with them. And also, there's a hospital being built in Riverside right now. So hospitals are being built as we look for a way to support primary care.
Okay. What's the detail of that, of the whole commitment? To build new hospitals or to refurbish?
Well, what's that there? The hospitals that we are talking about in these places some of them are substandard. For example, in Bassa, there was a fire, or the Liberian government hospital, part of it was burned. They need new wiring and things like that. So we think the people of Grand Bassa deserve a new hospital. Turnkey. So turnkey meaning that equipment and other things will be in there. Okay. So at least the old one probably will be turned into or healthcare center or something, and then they will be able to be proud of the new hospital.
Meanwhile, following her recent tour of health facilities across the country, Health Minister Wilhelmina Jalla has been explaining more things she observed during her recent tour.
Well, a lot of the facilities, you know, like the major problem were a few situations. So we're glad that a lot of goodwill have come in with solar. So today I got the good news that I think one of the agencies are going to look at some of the clinics and some of the health centers to provide solar for them. And then the hospitals have another group that will come in to provide solar. So that should in itself ease some of the no fuel problem.
Okay.
So that, you know, that is very welcoming for me. So that's one of the major problems I saw.
Okay.
And a few houses are being built, but we are encouraging different projects to remember to include staff housing, so that the staff that make the sacrifice to go to these counties can have at least a decent place with a solar panel and, you know, some other amenities to live there. So we are.
A two-day African Women Leadership Network Steering Committee meeting in Monrovia under the auspices of the UN Women and African Union has ended in Monrovia. Former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf used the occasion to admonish women globally to promote unity and resist all form of divisiveness.
The driving force of this initiative will have to be the national chapters. How they organize, how they structure, how they formulate their strategies, and more importantly, their focus. The programs that they will have, the common goals that they will identify to be able to move this initiative to the place where we all would like to see it. For the Liberian chapter, you are particularly challenged because you have to move beyond distrust and fear. You have to move beyond disunity and see how you can put all the women together around this common goal. And in doing so, let me make two other points that will be important for you, but not only for you, for all the national chapters. Much was said about many of the women in the informal sector, the rural women, the difficulties they face. We need to focus on what the Economic Commission for Africa has been talking about, the free movement of people.
Meanwhile, the gathering of the women was concluded by the reading of a joint communique by Upendo Peniza Furara, a member of the Tanzanian Parliament.
The main objective of the meeting was to consolidate the outcome of the second Outline Forum and define a roadmap for the network with concrete steps to deliver agreed upon actions on flagship projects and proposed way forward. Major outcomes of the meeting include the following package of actions and the 6 themes with the aim of creating an impactful and sustainable ecosystem for women across all themes. 1. On the increased participation of women in governance. The agreed outcomes is 50-50, the no woman, no vote, and second, support for women candidates in political elections. The second was on peace and security, and we agreed upon to have a joint AU-UN solidarity mission for peace, security, and development, implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325.
The acting head of the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency, Marcos Soko, says the agency remains committed to aggressively combating the proliferation of drugs abuse and trafficking across Liberia. Mr. Soko made a statement Thursday when the LDEA, along with partners at the Disco Hill site, burned a huge quantity of drugs valued at over 98 million Liberian dollars, while Julius Compton was at that area, and from there back in studio, he filed this report.
In a transparent manner, residents of Disco Hill witnessed the burning of huge quantity of drugs by officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, as huge smoke and flames were the order of the day. According to the acting head of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Michael Soko, the agency remains very aggressive in getting drugs off the streets.
We can take this kind of drugs off the street, their amount of money off the street. We are trying to let the Liberian people know that this is not just about DEA, this is about the country. It's not about us, it's about all of us. We need to be very aggressive in getting drugs off the street. So we're asking you guys to work with us. It's not just DEA. We all are affected in some kind of way. Sees a lot of drugs off the street, so the Liberian data will be 98 billion or more than 98 billion, 998 million, 566,188. With the US dollars, 618 million, 742,294.93. So it could be more to make sure the Liberian people know what we're doing. As you guys here, you guys can see all the drugs that were taken off the street. We want to be very transparent. And with my administration on, everything that we do is transparent.
Mr. Soko said they are leaving no stone unturned in fighting drugs, evidence of determination of employment of 8 drug enforcement officers due to compromise and recycling.
Few officers that I have terminated for compromising. So I have zero tolerance for compromise and recycling. So people that work with me will tell you, if you talk to them, any of the officers will tell you, I have terminated 8 for compromise and recycling.
Also speaking at the burning exercise, Assistant Justice Minister for Public Affairs Edred Noah praised the LDEA for its significant effort in confiscating harmful substances.
I think it's a very significant exercise. I think it establishes the level of progress being made by the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. So I think it's a significant milestone in the fight against drugs and substance abuse.
Ryan Fleming, a partner to the LDEA, calls for more resources to ensure the effectiveness of the operations of the LDEA.
We need more resources. We obviously need more money coming in from other places. We need more political will. We need more backing. More support from the Liberian side would help. That would go a great deal of help. There's been a lot of progress within the professionalizing the agency in the last 6 to 7 years. It wasn't too long ago where DEA would not have been able to get a case in court. The courts wouldn't even look at the case. And we just recently had a case in court. We had a 2-week trial. It was a good case. It was 8 kilos of heroin that came in through the airport. Our airport detachment did a very, very good job, very professional job. And then the follow-up investigation by our investigation section out of headquarters, they also did a very good and professional job.
Despite the burning of huge quantity of drugs by officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, the proliferation of drug abuse and trafficking is still a serious challenge to the safety of the people of Liberia. I am Julius Compton reporting.
Many thanks to Julius Compton for that report. The board chairperson of the Public Procurement and Concession Commission, Tipla Reeves, has challenged the new PPCC executive director to serve with accountability and fairness. Speaking at the turning over ceremony to the new PPCC executive director, Councillor Reeves prayed the employees and staff of the commission to rally behind their new boss for the success of the Commission.
On December 28th, the Board of Commissioners reached a resolution to seek a new ED. We contacted the CSA to help us in this process. And through a vetting process, the CSA arrived and presented to us from the highest school the new executive director we will have to, will show up to you today. The commissioner have no doubt that Anthony Nambekwa will perform her duty to the best of her ability. We will also be pleased that the performance will adhere to transparency, accountability, so that in our process of work, reviewing concessions, reviewing government assets will be done, that are entrusted to us will be done to the best of all of us ability.
While doing the official turning over, the former officer in charge of the PPCC, Joseph Sua, presented a PPCC law that defines the roles of the executive director and other commissioners to Madam Kowu, the new PPCC executive director.
The commission faces challenges in getting adequate resources to perform its mandate as per the PPC Act of 2005 and amended and restated in 2010. Our budget, for instance, has been shrinking over the past 5 years. Our employees continue to work under difficult circumstances. For example, employees here collect money to fuel the only operational bus to convey them to and fro work daily. There are many other challenges at the Commission, among which is inadequate compensation of our employees as compared to other integrity institutions and professional men and women who are ready to work with you. They will be learning from your great wealth of experience that you bring to this job, and equally so, you may learn some few things from them.
While accepting her post, the new PPCC Executive Director, Attorney Ijagbe Nangbe Kowu, called on all Liberians, including concessionaires, to join the fight in upholding the laws and regulations of the PPCC law.
A fulfilled accomplishment of instilling a wholesome compliance to governing procurement laws and regulations in this country is the feat and the effort of not only the Public Procurement Concession Commission. Procuring entities have responsibilities. Procuring entities need to do responsible procurement. Adhering, and when I say responsible procurement, I'm talking about adhering to the PPCA, considering the visions of their respective entities, achieving value for money, and consequent economic development. Concessions granted should meet the aspirations set forth in Article 74 of the PPCA. An example: job creation, accelerated development of infrastructure, human capacity, and provision of services. The success of the 4 pillars of the Pro Agenda for Prosperity and Development, most especially Pillar 4, which talk about an inclusive and accountable public sector for shared prosperity and sustainable development.
The Simport Bridge in Nova Virginia is benefiting from routine maintenance work to ensure public safety and preserve the lifespan of the infrastructure. The ongoing maintenance work on the bridge is part of the capacity development in the transport sector project. a part of a $300,000 United States dollars funding from the German firm GIZ. On Tuesday, representatives from the Public Works Ministry, GIZ, and a team of journalists visited the St. Paul Bridge and spoke to Public Works structural engineer Perisa Wonko.
We are doing routine maintenance. We are trying to protect the embankment, the toe of the bridge. We are doing the embankments, and we are on the surface also trying to prepare the deck. As we go along, you will see that we explain further.
So what prompted you to become for this site?
What prompted me? I work for the Ministry of Public Works, and I was seconded on this project.
This particular site. Before you started working,
why you have to intervene in repairing
because it was very untidy. There has been no routine maintenance work done on this bridge for many years. If you don't maintain the bridges, they are going to fail. That's because we have most of the bridges around here.
How long did you start?
February 1st.
Can you give us a description of the work you did here and how is this impacting the current status of the bridge?
Yeah, prior to these works, this was like a dump site for people. People were using it for lights and everything. But as you can see, we are giving it a structural facelift that is going to help in integrity.
For their part, representatives from the Public Works and GIZ expressed satisfaction for the maintenance work to target the infrastructure that's the St. Paul Bridge in Lower Virginia.
This St. Paul Bridge, one of the bridges we hope to do the Topper Bridge too. So basically, we have brought you out here to see the money that was given to the government by GIZ, what it is used for. Okay? And I think practically you are seeing what it is used for.
You are the engineer. Are you satisfied with what we've seen so far?
Well, I will tell you that I'm also supervising the job. So instead of being satisfied, I would say definite, because we are here every day monitoring, and we have our engineers on the site to also monitor it.
This $300,000 was given to the National Road Fund of Liberia to trial all the procedures that we have been supporting the government of Liberia to develop and to establish, working with the National Road Fund and working with the Ministry of Public Works. So the National Road Fund is the financing institution now in Liberia for road maintenance and bridge maintenance and reconstruction of roads. And the Ministry of Public Works currently is the institution that is supervising and making the plans for road maintenance and bridge maintenance, and so they are the ones in charge for the quality.
How long will this partnership last?
We have been working in Liberia since this particular project is working since 2008, and we are still now working on the next project phase that should start in August 2019, this year.
Yeah,
for the next 3 years.
Okay, so this is just.
If you're just coming out where you're watching, we can review the production of the Liberia National Television. My name is Edward Tamba, anchoring this edition. And the big stories we're following: President George Manawia has submitted an art to the National Legislature seeking the validation of the National Youth Policy of Liberia. Government has reiterated its commitment to protecting journalists and the Liberian media. Schools of Liberians took to the streets during the week demanding the establishment of war and economic crimes court in Liberia. And Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency has burned a huge quantity of illicit drugs valued over 98 million Liberian dollars. We took a very short break to be right back with more developments. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. President George Manawia has submitted to the House of Representatives an art seeking the validation of the National Youth Policy of Liberia. President Weah, in a communication to plenary Thursday, added that the art is an agenda for action which seeks to further empower young people of the country. while the communication was read by the House's Chief Clerk, Major Sion, in plenary.
Dear Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to submit to your honorable body for enactment a bill titled, quote-unquote, an act to endorse the National Youth Policy of Liberia and Agenda for Action. As you may be aware, the 70th plenary meeting of the UN General Assembly held on December 12, 1997, adopted Resolution A/RES/52/83, which affirmed the importance of youth and called on all member countries to involve youth and youth organizations in all matters of concern to them. Furthermore, in July 2006, African Union heads of states and governments, including Liberia, meeting in Banjul, Gambia, endorsed the African Youth Charter as a political and legal document which serves as a strategic framework that gives direction for youth empowerment and development at continental, regional, and national levels.
The chairperson of the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, Ivan Brown, is calling on the President of Liberia to collaborate with the LTA in the promotion of the two industries in Liberia. Mr. Brown made the comments at the FM radio regulation stakeholder engagement in Monrovia Friday.
One of the things I want to stress is since we have the powerful media people here is the collaboration, especially from the PULN with the LTA. We are here, we are spectrum people, so most of the time you don't consider us. Something happens and they consider us. So I think the PUL needs to work along with the LTA to understand what we do at the LTA, how to provide services to the media. That way they will be able to help in that line, because if you don't understand it, we're not to do. And if we come up and say, right now we say we have a moratorium on giving frequency because of this process, Monrovia is filled. Monrovia is filled. And everywhere you go, you get very of that. We have a lot of interferences around here. And he spoke about the power, he talked about the transmission, and he gave us real good school about it. Those are things that we need to know. So if you come down to us after this process, we tell you, say, look, we have to make sure you have a location, you have a mailing address. Maybe we involve the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications to make sure everybody have a PO box or something. To have an assistance, what we're talking about. And then we need to go and see where you intend to operate so that we can make sure we have a bird's-eye view of the equipment and all of that, and give you some advice before we even give you the license.
For a part, LTA Commissioner Mariah Harrison said the regulation is aimed at improving quality outputs of FM stations across the country.
You had your community radio here, and we found out that, okay, now you're out of reach. Why you can't find a place somewhere else to go and broadcast so that you will be able to serve the other people who and the other person get, then you can join the programming together so that all the messages will be carried. Because the thing here is, if you can't give quality to your listeners, then you haven't done anything. If people are tuning in and they're getting 3 stations all in one, you haven't done anything. And with time, you will see that that's what will happen. So LTA has a responsibility also to your listeners to make sure that they get quality information from you. That's quality of service. So we'll be grading you all on that as well. We'll have a benchmark. What is it that your listeners can get? How much distortion they get in this area and what they get. So if you take this radio station as a community radio station and you're trying to beam high where you're now blocking another station that is paying in the other categories, you're violating your license.
Meanwhile, Internews Chief of Party Jean MacArthur stressed the importance of the FM regulations in Liberia.
We think introducing this is a really, really important time for the evolution of media in Liberia. You've had a period of quick, rapid response from donors, which has flooded the country with support really quickly. That didn't always plan. That wasn't always planned and thought through. And that's the nature of what your country's been through. So it is what it is. But now you have a proliferation of full media, radio stations across the country. You all tell me that's kind of chaotic. Would it be nice to fix that? How do you fix it after it's happened? You can't always plan things ahead. Often you have to fix things after they've evolved. And then you sit back and go, well, can we really sustain this? Why are broadcasters broadcasting over each other? Is 50 radio stations really appropriate for Monrovia? So now you've got the chance, I see, that at LTA with this new leadership, making this move to reform the regulations for FM licenses is a really fantastic icebreaker, if you like, to achieve some reform. Not all the reform you want on censorship and all those other things, but at least starting with regulation.
The president of the Motorcyclists and Tricyclists Union of Liberia have condemned the burning of a police station in Wiala, Margibi County. The station was burned by angry motorcyclists who are calling on the police to swiftly investigate the mysterious killing of a fellow motorcyclist. Here is John Kayan, president of the Motorcyclists and Tricyclists Union of Liberia.
The law should take its course, because I want to say here emphatically clear that by you being a motorcyclist does not in any way means that you should be a troublemaker. Alright? We've been branded negatively. So under our leadership, under our watch, we want to make sure that we clean the kind of mess that's within our sector. And in cleaning that, the bad apples should be rooted out. And so with that, we remain resolute to our decision that whoever want to bring this sector to a public reliquary definitely will take it out.
The major concern of the
reason why we are very instrumental working with the Liberia National Police in making sure, because I actually told all of our task forces, any of our people that will be identified, anywhere they go, they should be arrested. Alright? And they should be turned over to the Liberia National Police. And so we'll be resolute to that.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kenyon is calling on the Liberian National Police to swiftly intervene into the matter and bring the perpetrators to book.
You know, there's a saying that says that every military delay is danger to military movement. And so with that, even only if we want to fight the art of violence and then the art of crime in the community, our society, we need to be very, very vigorous in terms of handling matters. And so our justice system, we actually want to call on them for expeditious process, where at the end of the day, the due process will be done, so that at the end of the day, because one thing I should say here, whenever sometime people commit crime and they are taken to court and perhaps sent to Montreal Central Prison, within 2 weeks, you will see the person out. And then the only thing they will tell you, this person was guaranteed for. And so with that, we want to disabuse that people always committing crime and 1 or 2 persons just coming off from the society going to stand for such people, because immediately the broadcast come back, definitely it's irritating, because you cannot see someone that, for instance, recently some guys were arrested who madly handled a motorcyclist around the Tuporo area, and this guy, we fought hard to make sure that those guys be sent to prison, and that which we did. We went to Montreal Central Prison, and we went to Montreal Central Court, and they sent them to Montreal Central Prison. But then, just yesterday, I saw those guys out.
The Liberia Medical and Dental Association, LMDA, has carried out its first free medical service delivery and outreach program in Bon County. According to LMDA President Dr. Emmanuel Ikeneba, the association has offered several free medical delivery services in the county and donated medical items to the Phoebe Hospital in Bon County.
Doctors made donation of their time, some partners gave, some hospitals gave. Phoebe went beyond to see what could be done. So today the aim here is to do capacity building and also to do service delivery. We will run out free medical services for all the services. We have the dentist here, we have the ophthalmology or eye people, we have the internal medicine, we have family medicine, we have OBGYN, those that take care of any problems. And then we'll have surgeries that will be done free of charge. So, and then we'll also have some training and education, that will also have mental health going along with us. So there's a whole comprehensive care. It requires a lot of people. We have doctors, we have dentists, we have nurses, we have mental health clinicians, we have community health people, we have family health people. So they are in all areas.
While speaking after the donation, Bon County Health Officer Adolfo Zila lauded LMDA for the gesture, noting that the items will benefit the people of Bon County and the Phoebe Hospital.
I feel very good that the people of this region are going to receive some quality services for a few days. This outreach is something that is very commendable. It is something that will give LMDA a new look. It's giving us a new direction and giving us a new perspective into how we do things. I have a personal philosophy that if you are living and nobody is benefiting from you, then you're not living. Because living is giving. So, taking this thread, I'm very happy on behalf of the Ministry of Health and the county health team of Bon County. We want to say thank you guys for coming, Liberia Medical and Dental Association. All of our doctors that are here, I see some of my big brothers that are being here along with us all along, and they are.
Now, several Liberians Friday took to the streets of Monrovia to demand the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia. According to the petitioners, Liberia's past and current governments have not done much to serve justice for victims of the war. They believed perpetrators of the war continue to serve in high positions in government. The petitioners want alleged war and economic criminals to face trial and their part play in the war during the Liberian civil crisis.
Our quest for justice and accountability to the United Nations, we say, is non-negotiable. We do not negotiate justice. This is the second time we have come, and we come with open hearts. Our hearts are clean. We fight for 250,000 lives. It's a shame on us if we don't. We've explained our stories, and everywhere we go, people have heard us. It's not a fairy tale. The United Nations knows the story better than us, because you guys have been the ones that have helped us get this far. There is no sustainable peace in this country without justice and accountability.
While responding to the petitioners, the UN resident coordinator Yakub Ahido called on them to remain engaged with the United Nations, as the UN is regularly engaged with government and stakeholders to address the issue.
That is going to continue to raise the efforts and the energies so that the recommendations of the TRC are implemented. Some of them are very easy to implement, but their impact, their psychological impact is so important that they need to be accelerated, so that the public at large also get a sense that the key stakeholder in Liberia, and that is the government of Liberia, is also very serious about this matter. But, and this will be my final point, it is not just the government of Liberia that is responsible for this. You can even argue that this government has just come in and has inherited an enormous responsibility to run a country that is very fragile. So it is important not to expect things to happen overnight, especially on big questions like this. This would require a national conversation. Liberians need to start talking to each other.
Well, that's how we come to the end of this edition of Week in Review. Before we let go of your reminder of the big stories we followed. President George Manawia has submitted an ad to the House of Representatives seeking the validation of the National Youth Policy of Liberia. Government reiterates its commitment to protecting journalists in the Liberian media. Scores of Liberians took to the street during the week demanding the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court for Liberia, and the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency has burned a huge quantity of illicit drugs valued over 98 million Liberian dollars. Many thanks to all of you for watching this edition of Weekend Review. Many thanks to all of our contributors, our reporters, our producers who made this edition a success. On behalf of the entire production team here at the Liberia National Television, my name is Edward Tama. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Of God, don't think of negative things. I know